Why did the Supreme Court intervene in the special intensive revision of the electoral rolls in West Bengal? What does this controversy reveal about the powers of the Election Commission of India under Article 324, the importance of clean electoral rolls, and the tensions between constitutional institutions and federal politics? In this video, we break down the issue connecting the static constitutional framework with the dynamic political developments. You will understand what special intensive revision actually means, why approximately 60 lakh voter names were reportedly deleted, the constitutional powers of the Election Commission, why the Supreme Court stepped in, the larger debate about democracy, federal friction, and electoral integrity. Imagine waking up one morning and discovering that your name has disappeared from the voter list. No warning, no explanation, just gone. Now imagine this happening not to one person, not to a few thousand voters, but to around 60 lakh people in a single state. That is the controversy surrounding the special intensive revision of electoral rolls in West Bengal, which eventually drew the attention of the Supreme Court of India. But to understand why this issue matters so deeply, we must step back and ask a fundamental question. What exactly is an electoral roll and why does the Constitution treat it as the foundation of democracy? In any representative democracy, elections are meaningful only if every single citizen can vote and no ineligible name remains on the list. In other words, the credibility of elections begins with the accuracy of the voter list. This responsibility lies primarily with the Election Commission of India, an independent constitutional body created under Article 324 of the Constitution. Article 324 vests in the Election Commission the superintendence, direction, and control of elections to Parliament, state legislatures, and the offices of President and Vice President. In simple terms, it makes the Election Commission the guardian of electoral integrity. One of its key responsibilities is the preparation and maintenance of electoral rolls, ensuring that the lists remain accurate, updated, and free from duplication or ineligible entries. To achieve this, the Commission periodically conducts revision of the voter list. Sometimes these revisions are routine, but occasionally the Commission undertakes a much deeper exercise known as the Special Intensive Revision or SIR. During such a revision, the electoral rolls are thoroughly re-verified, often involving house-to-house verification, document checks, and the removal of duplicate or invalid entries. In principle, the objective is straightforward: protect the purity of electoral roll. However, the controversy in West Bengal emerged when reports suggested that nearly 60 lakh names were deleted during the revision process. Supporters of the exercise argued that the revision was necessary to eliminate duplicate entries, migrated voters, and ineligible names, thereby strengthening electoral credibility. Critics, however, raised serious concerns. They argued that large scale deletions risk disenfranchising genuine voters, especially if the verification process lacks transparency or adequate safeguards. This tension between electoral purity and voter inclusion lies at the heart of the controversy, and when such tensions escalate, another constitutional institution often enters the picture: the judiciary. In this case, the Supreme Court intervened, seeking clarity on the process and the safeguards used during the revision. The court's involvement reflects a broader constitutional principle. While the Election Commission enjoys considerable autonomy under Article 324, its actions remain subject to judicial review, especially when allegations raise that fundamental democratic rights might be affected. This brings us to an important constitutional balance. The Election Commission must be independent enough to conduct free and fair elections, yet its actions must also remain transparent, accountable, and consistent with constitutional rights. In practice, maintaining this balance is not always easy. Electoral processes often intersect with political competition, and when institutional decisions affect millions of voters, they inevitably become part of the political debate. This is where the issue also acquires a federal dimension. Elections in a state involve both the central constitutional authority of the Election Commission and the political leadership of the state government. When disagreements arise between these actors, the situation can quickly evolve into a case of federal friction where institutional authority and political interests collide. But beyond the immediate controversy, this video offers a deeper lesson about democracy. Democracy is not sustained only by elections. It is sustained by trust in the electoral process. Citizens must trust that voter lists are accurate. Political parties must trust that the system is fair, and institutions must operate in a way that strengthens public confidence. The Election Commission, the judiciary, and the political system all play a role in maintaining this delicate ecosystem. Because in the end, democracy is not just about casting a vote. It is about ensuring that every legitimate vote counts and every citizen has the right to participate. This issue illustrates how constitutional provisions, institutional powers, and contemporary politics intersect. Article 324 may appear as a single line in the Constitution, but in real life it governs one of the largest democratic exercises on earth, and that is the fascinating nature of Indian polity. A constitutional provision written decades ago continues to shape the dynamic realities of governance and democracy today. And here is a question for you. Where should the line be drawn between ensuring clean electoral rolls and protecting voter inclusion? Share your thoughts. Because the best preparation for public service always begins with thinking critically about democracy itself.